Well, good evening, everybody. It's Tuesday night, 7 o'clock or 7:01. That means it's time for grandstanding with Mother Theresa. If you have your favorite snack and your favorite beverage, then you've done exactly what I've asked you to do. The next thing I need you to do is to share this video, this live, with others. Call someone, text someone, send a quick Facebook post, and tell everyone that Mother Theresa is grandstanding on tonight. I already see some of my people that are on here, my greatest supporters, the biggest fans, or as TJ would call us, the ambassadors, part of my Call Pepnard crew. They are here. So thank you all for being here on tonight. I see my mom has made her way into the room. Thank you, Mom, for always being so supportive. I love you. I love you. I love you. And so on tonight, as we are grandstanding and we are talking about what we're going to be talking about, remember, this is not a therapy session, but simply me sharing life experiences, some of the things that hopefully I can help some of the ones that are on here. What I am noticing right now that my Facebook is glitching. So if I'm cutting in and out, I don't know what is happening with this, but I do notice that it's glitching. So if I happen to get cut off, then I will try to come right back on. So just wanted to give you all that little update as we get started. So what are we going to talk about tonight? What are we going to get into on tonight? Well, my word for the week has been, and last week, has been intentional. Being intentional. If you saw my Monday morning motivation, you noticed that I was talking about being intentional. We will rejoin you if you cut off. Thank you, Ned. Thank you so very much. Being intentional. And so if you are being intentional, that means that you have taken some time and you've planned out some things. When we are intentional, typically what we have done is we've mapped out some things that we want to occur, or our plans or our strategy or even our day. We basically have an itinerary of the things that we want to accomplish, the things that we want to partake in, and some things that we just want to be sure that is taken care of. So when we're talking about being intentional, that means that you need to plan, okay? And we often hear that if you don't plan to succeed, you plan to fail, okay? And that's not always necessarily the case, but as we are being intentional about our day and about our lives, about every aspect in our life, we have to know that there is some planning involved. And so as I've shared my story with you all, and I can't even remember how long this has been going on, but it's been a couple of months that I've been here grandstanding with everyone. I have been sharing just a lot of my stories, a lot of the things that I feel like have made me into the person that I am today. And not only have made me into the person that I am today, but when I think back on how I got here and how my life has turned out as an adult, there had to have been some planning involved. And so, and with that planning involved, I was very intentional of how I wanted to, to move around. And so I did that. Hey, Deidre. So I did that. And because I was intentional, then God has definitely honored a lot of the requests and a lot of the things that I was seeking for. And some of the things he has blessed me with, I wasn't seeking for, didn't even have a clue as to what was going to be happening. But because I say the favor of God covers me, then he allowed certain things to happen. So how have you been intentional about the way that you live your life? That's a lot to think about, okay? Sometimes we can wake up and we can just jump out of the bed and we can just get our day started without, commanding the morning. And guess what? I've shared with you all what commanding the morning means. That means having a conversation with God. And it doesn't matter if it's just a few seconds or if it's a whole hour, whatever your intentions are. Just be intentional about what you're doing, but command the morning. Start your morning with some intentions of how your day is going to be. And if you start your day with God, guess what? You've got a head start right there. Again, like I said, sometimes we jump out of bed and we get up and we get our day started. We don't honor God. We don't ask him to guide our footsteps. We don't do any of that. We just jump and go. And a lot of times when we're just jumping and going, guess what we're doing, people? We find ourselves being reactive to a lot of things that's happening in our lives. And so when you are reacting, a lot of your time is spent in almost like a crisis mode. It's like you're just waiting for that thing to happen. And because you're waiting for that next thing to happen, then guess what? Then you have missed some valuable time that if you had planned out your day and had put some things in place, maybe you could have avoided some of those reactionary things. So when I talk about being intentional, one of the things that I remember growing up, and also with my family, and even I still do it now, is some of the people laugh at me because I am definitely old school when it comes to pen and paper. I can make you a list of all the things that I need to do, all the things that I want to accomplish, and I've been doing it for years. Thank you, Deidre. I've been doing it for years. I will make out my list of the things that I need to do, when I need to accomplish it, and all of those different things. And I take that list and I'm very intentional about the list that I'm making, and that helps me to guide my day. I take those lists, and when I was married early on, I started with my budgeting things. And so I would write down all of my bills. I would write down speaking of that, let me share with you all something. And my girls are probably going to laugh at me. But when I talk about being intentional and I talk about how sometimes we are raised, my girls will definitely know what this is. They will definitely know what this little blue book means, because the book is coming. Yes, I still write down all of my bills. And again, like I said, I'm old school. I write down all of my bills. I write down other things in this little book. I write down just valuable information in this little book. And I know my girls are laughing about this book. They don't want to be in the book. That's all I can say. They don't want to be in the book. But I write down my bills. I write down, just a lot of important information. And it is helpful for me. It is helpful for me to guide my day. And again, to make sure that I am accomplishing. Ned said that's the IOU book. Ned, don't tell all my secrets. But it helps me to be able to keep my day focused. And when I'm at work, of course, a lot of us, we are required to keep like an Outlook calendar, which is online. And I do that. But guess what? I still have my paper calendar. I keep my paper calendar and I write with it in pencil, because guess what? My plans might change. And so because my plans may change, I put it in pencil because I am very intentional about trying to make sure that I'm where I'm supposed to be and I'm doing the things that I should be doing. So having a plan is part of being intentional. Making a list is part of being intentional. Making those to-do lists, putting those reminders around your house of the things that you want to accomplish, that's just part of being intentional. How many of you all have decided to go on vacation and you did not make any plans of where you are going? You just decided, okay, I'm going to wake up and we're going to put some gas in the car. We're going to load our luggage. and we're just going to be out the door, and we're just going to go wherever. Now, let me just tell you that my husband and I did that recently, our last road trip. We had kind of a destination in mind, but we wanted to travel the back roads of East Texas, Louisiana, I think Mississippi, and I'm trying to think where else we wound up. But it was the absolute best vacation. Now, did we know where we were going? We kind of had an end point. We kind of knew where we wanted to, wind up, but we didn't schedule an itinerary. We just decided to just go and just enjoy one another. And again, like I said, it was one of the best vacations that we had. So you may say, well, Mother Theresa, you're contradicting yourself. I'm not really, because we were intentional about not setting those plans. We were intentional that we wanted to just be able to stop whenever we felt like stopping. We wanted to be able to just spend the night at wherever we decided to spend the night. We wanted to be able to just get out and enjoy the scenery if we saw something that looked interesting to us. And that's what we did. So we were intentional about not setting so many rules and guidelines that allowed us the spontaneity of being able to stop and to do exactly what we wanted to do. And that was to enjoy spending time with each other and enjoying our road trip. So, and one of the things that I can say is that when you're not planning necessarily, think about, if I had planned a vacation, or if I didn't plan a vacation, I didn't necessarily know where I was going, and I didn't pack the appropriate clothing. Okay, I may pack clothes for the summertime and not realizing that where I needed to go or where we were going to wind up, we might need a sweater, we might need coats, we might need our boots on. So basically, when I'm talking about being intentional, you can look at this in a whole lot of different ways. How many of you all are intentional when it comes to your children? Raising your children, showing your children what you expect of them, living a life in front of your children that they can be proud of, that you can be proud of. How many of you all are intentional about the examples that you are setting for your children? Because guess what? They are looking at everything. They don't miss a thing. And just because they are 2 years old, like my sugar sugars don't miss too much of anything. And they can tell you in their own way, or they can show you in their own way, when you're not really being true to who you are, or when you're making some mistakes, okay? And so we want to be careful about that. We want to be careful of the lifestyle that we're living in front of our children. When I'm speaking about the lifestyle, one of the things that we were intentional about was to making sure that our children knew that we were faith walkers, that we were believers, that we were people of God, that we loved God, that we served God, that we honored God, that we trusted God, that we were servants. And so because we were intentional in showing and living that life, that example before our children, then guess what? Pretty much my children are, as adults, are the exact same way. I saw something that Ned posted on Facebook the other day, and it was about children's church. And she said that she was that churchy church, and I may not be getting it exactly right, but she was that churchy church kid that wanted to be in the church, seeking for the Holy Ghost or tarrying or doing whatever, really getting the word and being a part of the church for the adults rather than being in children's church. You know, she didn't want the Cheerios. She didn't want to play, those little games. She wanted to be inside the church. And I can say that that is one thing. And of course, that when my girls were younger, we didn't have the luxury of having children's church, but I kept my kids right there inside the church with me. And so they could experience what I was experiencing. And so as we are thinking about and being intentional, those are just some things that maybe we're not even thinking about. It's intentional in every area of your life. Are you intentional about the way that you spend money? Are you intentional about the things that you, when I say spend money, are you intentional and careful and being a good steward over the things that God has given you? Or do you just spend and don't even think about, the outcomes? Are you a good steward of your money? Are you able to maintain a budget? I saw Jackie Henderson on here, I think, and this is probably some conversations that we've had before. I see my cousin Stacy on here. I see my sister Annie. Of course, like I said, my Call Pepnoid crew is on here. I see some other people on here that I'm not sure who you are, but thank you so much for joining us. If this is your first time joining Grandstanding with Mother Theresa, thank you all so very much for being here with me on tonight. And again, like I said, we just kind of talk about what we're talking about. I like to share different strategies and some of my life experiences. And of course, tonight I'm just talking about being intentional. Just being intentional with your life. Okay, being intentional. Yes, ma'am, Jackie, you're there. So some of these conversations, like when we talked about budgeting long time ago, Jackie was someone that we would talk a lot about how to do certain things and how to manage and how to be, just be good stewards of the things that God has entrusted us with. So the intention, being intentional, again, like I said, is not just in one area, but it's being intentional in on your workplace, in your work setting. When you go to work, are you intentional about the things that you have been hired to do? Or are you the ones who are just kind of, trying to goof off, just trying to, just you're riding the clock, you're just waiting to the end of the day, you don't have a set schedule, you're not intentional about actually performing the job that you have been hired to do. My director, she kind of laughs about me, a lot of different things, but I'm very grateful as being a part of my life, because she's much younger. I say much younger. She's at least 10 to 15 years younger than I am, but she is such a wise woman of God. And so I learn a lot from her. And of course, vice versa, we help each other. But one of the things when I was talking about my job and being intentional in doing the duties that you have been hired to do, one of the things that I do, and it's just for me, because I'm intentional about what I've been assigned to do, not only at home and in the community, but at work too. So in the back of my handy dandy calendar and notebook, I keep my job description. And it's fully printed out, as it's changed. I have, I'll change it and put it in there. But I keep my job description in the back of my notebook because I want to be sure that what Goose Creek has hired me to do, that I'm being faithful and I'm being intentional and I am doing what is expected of me. Because so many times, especially when you're in an administrator, so many things can be, you can be called upon to do so many different things, and you can easily lose sight of the real reason why you're there. So in order for me to make sure that I stay on track, you all, hey, Amanda, in order for me to stay on track, I keep my job description in the back of my notebook. And every so often I pull it out and I read it. And I read it to make sure that I am in line with what Goose Creek is expecting of me. Because again, like I said, I can easily get, sideways and everything like that. Okay. Thank you, Candace, for helping me out. So because of that, I keep that job description and I follow it. Okay. So how many of you all are keeping up with the things that you know you're supposed to do, Sister Sherry? How many of you all are doing that? Sister Sherry is very intentional about one of the things that I noticed that she does is that she posts a lot of the different scriptures and things for, getting your morning started and everything like that. And so because of that, that is part of her being intentional. Again, if you want to start your day right, if you want to keep your day going the way that you want to, like I said, command the morning, be intentional about some of the things that you're doing. And as you're being intentional, I pretty much can guarantee that you're going to see some results of of your labor. I'm not saying everything is always going to go according to plan, because things happen. And when things happen, we just kind of have to go with the flow. And I can say this, it is a learning experience. And I thank everyone for helping me to make sure that I stay on the straight and the narrow. I thank God for my children. I thank God for the people in my life, because as I am trying to be intentional again, it is so easy to kind of get off track. And it's good to have people to kind of pull you back in, to rein you back in and say, hey, stay on track. Keep the main thing, stay focused. Don't get too far off center. Stay right where you are. So I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for the people that not only do I have in my life, but I'm grateful for the people that God has put in your life. I'm grateful for you that you have an opportunity to be intentional. Okay, so one of the things that I shared on last week is that I want to be intentional about what I said, is that I mentioned that writing a book was something that I wanted to do. My intentions were to get it done, and I was able to do it. But I also said that if there was anybody else who had other things that they wanted to do in the area of writing a book or writing a booklet or getting something published, that I would not mind helping you out and sharing with you the little bit of knowledge. I say the little bit, the knowledge that I have. So I have made myself available. I did get the information from the ones who said that they were interested. So I'm trying to figure out how we can best share the information that I have, whether it be a live streaming like this, or it may be a Zoom meeting. But just know that I am working on it. I did not forget you all. I am still working on it. So as I am beginning to wrap things up, and again, my daughter says go a little bit later, and someone else says kind of make sure that I keep it close on time. Hey, Sister Veronica, I just want to be mindful of, and I want to be mindful of the time that I share with you all. And I also want to know, what are some of the things that you all are being intentional about? So if you don't mind sharing with me, put some things in the chat and just share with me, what are some of the things that you have been intentional about just this week alone? And it doesn't have to be, hey, Miss Verdun, I'm so glad that you're back with us again on tonight. So what are some of the things that you all have been intentional about this week, you all? Please share. It doesn't have to be something major. You can be intentional about you almost missed me. You were absolutely right, Veronica. You almost missed me. So I need you to be intentional next week and set your alarm for 7 o'clock on Tuesday. So everybody, and this is for everybody, you all. Y'all, let's be intentional about joining me on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock. And not only joining me not only do I want you to join me, but I want you to be intentional about inviting somebody else or telling somebody and say, hey, this lady is on Facebook and she just talks about some of everything, but it's all good stuff. She rambles and she may go down a rabbit hole and she may get stuck down there a little bit, but she finds her way back and she just kind of come on back and she, shares whatever. But, so what have you been intentional about? That's the question that I was asking. What are some things that you've been intentional about? I'm waiting. I'm waiting. This week, I have been intentional to pull out all of my clothes, pack lunches, to pull out her clothes at nighttime, to pack her clothes for the next day, pack lunches for the next day, and before you go to bed at night. Okay, good, Candace. Especially with those babies, you got to be that. You got to do that. That's good. Intentional about truly listening to others and not taking things so personal. Amanda, thank you so much for sharing. That's good. And Sister Sherry said, checking on those that are ill this week that I work with. Thank you. Thank you, Sherry. Of course, that's always a good thing to do. And let me just tell you, the people that you are checking on, Sherry, they are so grateful to have people like you in their lives. Okay, so, hey, Serenity. Serenity, what have you been intentional about this week? Ned said intentional about keeping calm. So, Ned, how do you keep calm? You know, the thing about it is that a lot of people can say, that they are keeping calm and they're trying to maintain, that healthy balance of just not losing their cool. But how do you do that, Ned? Because that can be really hard. Serenity has been intentional about finishing her ingenuity. All right, Serenity, be intentional about that. Okay. 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 Let's see who else has been intentional. Okay, I saw something else, but it disappeared. Okay. Something disappeared. Somebody put something in here and it disappeared. Okay, who else has been intentional about something? What have you been doing this week? I've been intentional about learning some technology. Absolutely, Jackie. Let me tell you, this technology thing is just, I am doing my absolute best. And I shared, I keep sharing with you all, hey, just if you would just hang in here with me, I know I'm going to make a lot of mistakes as I'm trying to learn these different, technology, the social media platform and everything like that. But if you would just hang in here with me, I am learning. And so I am being intentional. I stayed in this office last night to almost 10 o'clock trying to mess with some stuff that I really needed TJ to help me out with, but he didn't get a chance to help me, so I had to do it on my own. And I messed up some stuff, but that's okay. That is absolutely all right, because guess what? I made it through the thing tonight. I'm almost done. We've had a little bit of glitches, and I don't know if that's my fault or if it's just the internet. We've been having some problems with the internet, but that's okay. That is okay. Deidre says she's going to be intentional about not missing my grandstanding. All right, Deidre, I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to be looking for you every Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Ned says she's taking deep breaths instead of talking about her frustrations. Yes, absolutely, Ned. Taking a deep breath. That's one of the things that I, try to teach people and I practice is that breathing. One of the greatest things that we can do for ourselves as I am wrapping up is to learn to take those deep breaths and reset our mind, reset our body. One of my taglines is take care and breathe. And I mean that, you all. Sometimes we just have to stop what we're doing. And I taught Will, I said, Will, I just need to, and this is when he was in school, I said, I need you to just stop and breathe. Take 5, okay? That means take 5 breaths. And I mean a good breath where you're breathing in, hold it, and then breathe out. I guarantee you, if you do that 5 times consecutively, you're going to feel better. You're going to not be as angry. You're going to, you're going to notice that your whole mood just changes. So that is my challenge for you all tonight as we're ending. grandstanding. First of all, thank you all so very much for grandstanding with Mother Theresa tonight. I appreciate everybody. Oh, more intentional about resting and relaxing. Absolutely, Veronica. I think we're all of more. That's definitely what I'm being more intentional about as well. But I just want to thank you all. We are all singing that over here. Okay. Yes, absolutely. I want you all to have a good night. Definitely have a good night, everybody. Thank you all again for joining in with me on tonight. I really appreciate everybody that takes out their time on a Tuesday night to join me. I don't take it lightly. I don't take it for granted that you're going to be here, that you're going to tune in. I really don't. Every time that when I log in and I see people, logging in with me, it just gives me great joy in knowing that I'm being intentional in doing what God has asked me to do. So again, hey, Sister Carolyn Witherspoon, and happy birthday. I am so glad that you got in on the tail end of this. Listen, join me again next Tuesday nights. I am here on Tuesday night starting at 7 o'clock till about 7:30. I just want to get on, say what I got to say, and then give you all back part of your Tuesday evenings. But again, thank you all so very much. You all have been a great participants on tonight. I love the way that you all were able to put things into the chat. I love that. Thank you all so very much. And as I say good night to everyone, you all enjoy the rest of your week. Now, here's a little bit of my music that I love to share. So I hope you all enjoy it. It does feel like a family reunion, Candace. Lots of our friends are on here tonight. Listen, y'all, I normally come back on and say good night, everybody. But I am so very grateful when I say that I am grateful, grateful, grateful for everyone who tuned in with us on tonight. Candace, you nailed it. You said it feels like a family reunion. And when you are intentional about doing what God has called you to do and commanded you to do, then people will show up and they will support you. They will come together and it will be like a family reunion. Guess what, you all? When you have family that is like this, with this tight bond, that lets me know that I've been intentional in the life that I've led. So I thank you all so very much. I appreciate you all. You all just don't know how much I really appreciate you all. So you all go have a good night and y'all just be intentional. Join me back here on next Tuesday night. I'll be here. Speak a blessing. Absolutely, Sister Deidre. Speak a blessing. Yes. Thank you all so very much. Listen, you all. Okay, so I was about to say good night, but I kind of feel something coming on. Listen, you all, I want you all, when I talk about being intentional, and I'm just being really sincere, there are so many great things that God has in store for us. And if we would just be obedient, if we would just listen to the word, yes, that's right, I can't leave. If we would just listen to the word of God, if we would listen to the things that he has put in our heart, and if we would just abide by it, Not only just abide by it, but just walk in it. God has promised us some great things. God has promised us some ooh-wee great things. But sometimes we cannot move forward because we feel like we're stuck. We feel like what we have is all we deserve. But let me tell you, that is not the truth. That is not the truth. That's not what my word tells me. The word tells me that he is able to do exceedingly abundantly. So that is what you have. That is what those are the promises of God, you all. So because those are the promises of God, then you all, if you're his children, you deserve it. Okay? So step out and go get it. Step out and go get the blessings that God have for you. So again, I must say, good night, everybody. And I hope that I've put something on your heart, because guess what? Guess what? It's only the beginning. And people may say that is a cliche. It is not a cliche. It is only the beginning. But it's up to you. See, the thing about it is that there are certain things that we have within our reach. God used to tell me all the time, use what's in your hands. Use what's in your hands. And not necessarily, I would think, okay, God, what do I have in my hands? What do I have in my possession? What do I have that is connected with me, that I have, that I can make a difference? But it was a lot of things that God had in store for me. There's a lot of things that God had placed in my hands. And sometimes it wasn't necessarily a natural thing, but sometimes what he put in my hands, he put it in my head. He put it in my heart. And so because he had those things that were delivered and put within Thresa, then I was able to make some things happen, not just on my own, but because that's what God said, this is what I've equipped you to do. And because I have equipped you to do it, then I need you to get busy. And so I'm telling you all, whatever God has put in your hand, in your heart, in your being, we were all created for something great. And it's only up to you to find out what that is. And then get busy. Get busy. When we talk about grandstanding is not just something that just popped up in my head. I believe that was God ordained. And because it was God ordained, I can't help but to do what God has told me to do. And because I am doing what God has told me to do, it may be 10 people on here right now, maybe 14, maybe whatever. But whoever's here, that's who needs to hear it. So the message is loud and clear. And I know the same message that God has given me, he's been giving it to you as well. And sometimes we can push things back so far, and as we begin to wonder, is that the voice of God? But it is. But it is. So you just need to be responsive and move accordingly. Okay? Move accordingly. Move accordingly. And when you start moving accordingly, you'll see the things begin to come to pass. And when they start coming to pass, you'll be like, oh my goodness, I could have moved quicker, and this would have become a reality much sooner if I would have just did what God was unctioning me to do. So I'm done, you all. Y'all have a good night, everybody. I love you all. This is Mother Thresa saying I'll meet you all back here on next Tuesday. I hope you got what you needed, because I sure did. Good night, everybody.